guys, Tomboy601, and today we're going to cover two of the ships that came out during this update that I think surprised me a little, but not in a good way. We're going to talk about Algerie W and Maass W, the two tech tree turned premium ships that came out this update. Some would call them crate fillers, some would call them a cash grab, some would just call them a bit of a weird choice. Now, initially in the patch notes, it read like these two ships were going to be eye for eye, exact copies of their tech tree brethren. But when they arrived, it turns out they are a bit different. So we're going to go over those differences, and then I'm going to show off a game in Algerie W because I think it's the more interesting of the two ships. So first things first, let's talk Maass, and then we'll get into Algerie. Maass is almost an exact copy of her tech tree count of his. This is one of those German boats are his and not hers. Whatever. The Maass W, it has a couple of tweaks. The big one being its firing range. It loses about 1 kilometer of firing range in exchange for about half a second of better reload time. It also has weaker torps by about 1,000 in Alpha Strike. Those are the changes to Maass, which, if you ask me, that doesn't really, like, cool, better guns on Maass. Maass is already great. You're not going to be really using a ton of range on destroyers anyway. It's not a huge trade. Guns are going to be how you affect the battle most of the time anyway, because you got that quarter pen. All of that said, cool, those are there. But is that worth the premium price tag? I don't think so. And we're going to talk about this with both of these ships, but I kind of wish they didn't go with the W and just maybe either A, made a new premium ship and named it a sister ship. I know that's not an option for Algerie. I'm not sure if it's an option for Maass, but with little changes like that does feel like it's statistically not the same, but it is a little bit, I would call it slightly better. But that depends on if you're a Maass person who likes to run torp builds or if you like to run them as gunboats, and really, the specialization there. So that's Maass. Let's head over to Algerie and talk about what Algerie's differences are, because these, I would say, are somewhat significant. So like Maass, it receives a main battery range nerf. Standard on my usual build is 16.8. It drops down to 15.3. So a good chunk there. It also gets about an extra second on the reload, which is pretty significant. It also receives a bit of a nerf when it comes to torpedo damage. It loses about 1,000. Cool. That's all of the changes. But it also gets access to a new consumable. In the last slot, instead of an engine boost, Algerie W gets 3 main battery reload boosters. Something that I think is an actual tangible benefit and does make this ship play significantly different. Or not significantly, but enough different to justify it being a new ship, right? I also think, though, that this gives us a template for what we could hope to maybe see one day with St. Louis and Charles Martel, and I'll talk about in a second. But I like the fact that I can now choose, instead of on the tier 7s, you have to give up sonar for that main battery reload booster. Here, it's the engine boost, and I like being able to make that trade. What I hope this does, because at least what this makes me want, is for them to build or to put essentially B holes on Charles Martel and St. Louis, and make it so you could switch between an A hole and a B hole. The A hole having the main battery reload booster over the sonar, have it be able to swap out on the sonar, and the B hole have it being able to swap out on the speed boost, because I think both sonar and for the French ships, the engine boost are significant portions of the ship. They are defining characteristics, whether it be of cruisers or of the line itself, and to be able to give the player the choice to be like, hey, do you want to give up your speed boost to get the main battery, or do you want to give up the sonar to get the main battery? I think that is a fair trade And I kind of hope we now see that because I think it's being demonstrated very well with Algerie. My other point about wanting a sister ship for this name, because I don't think they should really just name it the Tech Tree ship with a W and move on. Unfortunately, Algerie doesn't have a sister ship. It's like a one-of-a-kind hull. It was the last of the treaty resigned cruisers, but here we are. So that's my rant about these two ships. Let me get into the commentary about the match. So as you saw, we kind of went over to the left-hand side. We did what we could, tried to assist out on taking out the ships that were over there. We used our first main battery reload booster. Now we're floating off in mid because we can see the enemy battleships are starting to push down center. So we want to kind of tease our way, try to help out. Also, we do have our now lone destroyer being pursued by Bear out on his flank. So we want to try to provide some assistance to him because honestly, we're going to struggle to attempt to win this match if we don't have a destroyer. So while the rest of our team starts to push up, we're going to push down south. We're going to see if we can start to bully this New Mexico. We do have the HE, and we're kind of just waiting on our main battery reload booster to come back online to use it there. We've gotten some pretty decent hits so far, and guys, it's still in Algerie. It turns out you still can get slapped, especially if you angle the wrong way or if you turn into the rounds like we did there. So we are now going to have to play the rest of this match increasingly tactically in order to try to help out our team. What I'm wanting right now is to try to set a permafire on New Mexico, right? We have 19 seconds until our main battery reload booster comes back up. He's used the damage control party on a single fire, which is good. Hopefully what we can now do is come in and use this main battery reload booster that is about to come back online and get a permafire on him. If we can get a permafire on him, we are going to do some nasty damage. Of course, main battery reload booster, it's going to reduce the reload time of the main gun by 50%. The French chance of fire on these shells is pretty decent. You're looking at about an 18% chance to set fire, and to be able to fling that every couple of seconds, it can help. And we do get a nice permafire here as we start to come around the corner here, and we've kind of accomplished our goal. But there's still some things we need to do because there's a Devonshire out there. There is also a Miyoko. Now, we do need to worry about the Miyoko. Miyoko's the one that's been kind of pursuing and pressuring our DD this whole game. And good on this Miyoko, because generally Miyoko's not exactly the offensive craft, right? They're kind of designed to be kiting. They're kind of a floating citadel. And for this Miyoko to realize he has the ability to pressure our DD and push him back to where he, keep him retreating, keep him off balance, keep him from sending torps at his battleships, he's doing a very good job. We're going to kind of switch right back over here, keeping the HE loaded just because Devonshire doesn't have the best armor, and he could turn in or turn out in a way that lets him ricochet AP, but the HE, we can get some pretty nasty hits on him, and he's also going to go kind of hide behind that island. Miyoko finally pops up, and we just kind of need to wait and see what he does. We go ahead and flip to the AP, because as we were talking about earlier, the Miyoko can be a floating citadel. We fire the AP at him, seeing what we can do, and nothing much there. We do sort of whiff those shots, but that's okay. He's starting to turn out into a nice full broadside. That's exactly what we like to see. What can we get for this broadside? One citadel hit. That's not too bad. He returns with some HE, which is very nasty HE. We can kind of hope we're kind of out and spotted now, so we do need to use that maneuverability. We catch fire. We pick up the Confederate there, and now that he drops behind there, we're going to pop that the damage control party because we don't have any heals. The HP we're bringing is the HP that we can take home with us. And at this point, looking at the battle, we are probably not going to win it, right? But we can damn well try to bring some other people down with us. So we're going to go ahead, kind of be a little indecisive here because we're trying to figure out what we can do. That New Mexico starting to float away from us, along with that Devonshire. We're kind of not important to them anymore, and I can understand why. We don't have the hit points to really affect the battle much anymore. And if we're being honest, we're kind of the Miyoko's kill, right? They can leave the Miyoko to try to wipe us up. We have 1,000 hit points left, and he has 20,000. What can we really do to the Miyoko? Well, they've left us isolated. We have Miyoko coming broadside. We know what we're gonna do. We're gonna drop Torps right there just in case he decides to turn in, and we are gonna load AP, get those rear guns around, start to try to get that angle out. Look at Miyoko, fire the first round, and well, he's volunteering his side here. We pick up the high cal. We got the reload. He's about ready to send off his shells, and he is perfectly perpendicular, giving us nice, juicy broadside. And, well, we get another hit right here. Island coming up in front of us, and, well, we're going to hit that navigational obstacle as he wipes us out. But, well, we'll take him down with us. We'll take it. Guys, that's Algerie W. Like I said, I think if you pointed a gun at my face and told me I had to have one of the W ships, I think Algerie W is the one to get, because it does offer something that's at least a little bit different than the tech tree counterparts. But overall, I'm not really sold on these vessels, but it is nice to know the differences out there compared to their tech tree counterparts. Anyways, guys, if you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. See ya.